Good morning. Y'all bow with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we come asking you to forgive us of our sins, to say thank you that this is day 35. Get us out of here. Lead, guide, and direct us. Be with us. Keep your hand on us. Put us on the right road. In Jesus' name, amen. Again, good morning. To my senators, I am glad you're here. The rule is that if you don't come, you don't get it. What I want you to do when you get up there is identify yourself, tell us who you bill, and tell us who's going to carry the bill in the House. Any questions? Ms. Underman is first. You're on.
And I appreciate it. That's a very good prayer. I have two bills, Senate Bill 14 and Senate Bill 65. Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm Renee Underman. Georgia Alzheimer's, it's a statewide task force. The state of Georgia has never had a task force to deal with this oncoming silver tsunami of the aging baby boomers. This is a financial task force and also compassionate and dealing with our research institutes, creating this statewide task force plan. And I believe Representative Dempsey is going to carry that bill. No, Representative Benton is going to carry that bill. And Senate Bill 65 adds professional counselors to folks who can do 1013s and 1023s. And this already currently social workers and other professionals, this just adds counselors to be able to perform this task.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Butch Miller of 49th District. I'm presenting Senate Bill 139, and Representative Emery Donahue would carry it in the House. If it pleases the Chairman, give a brief description of 139.
Wait. Is it the yellow one? Go ahead and tell us what your bill does. It's not on the calendar yet. Have you filled out your little form?
Yes, sir. But it was may have got lost in translation. But I'll make sure that I fill that out for you in your office, in fact. But I'll make sure I get that happen.
When did it come out of House committee?
One day last week. I don't recall what day it was.
We've lost that one. Go ahead and tell us what it does.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That gives me a great deal of confidence.
I don't fill out the forms.
I understand. Senate Bill 139 allows lenders and sellers to charge a closing fee on money advanced or credit extensions up to 4% of the face value of the loan, but not to exceed $50. Example of a $1,250 loan would charge a $50 closing fee, but the borrower would be, the seller or lender would be guaranteed $25 of that figure in order to cover costs, investigation costs, credit costs, collection costs, and so forth. However, if there was no loan made, there would be no charge for the fee.
When's the last time that got raised?
I don't know, sir.
Okay.
We have had a great deal of discussion with the banking community and other lenders, and we have no opposition to the bill that we're aware of, and I would be very grateful if the committee would look favorably upon this bill.
Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you. Good morning, Senator Miller. How are you?
Fine, sir. How about yourself?
Good.
Good.
I heard the hearing in committee on the bill, and I think I remember the need for this now as a result of a lot of recently passed federal legislation that makes it, in most cases, impossible to directly contact credit resources by these industrial lenders, so that they now have to go through processes similar to traditional lenders, which are costly, that they have no control over because of the new federal legislation. Is that a fair assumption?
That's correct. And the lenders in these cases were not able to do business in their traditional way, and this fee would cover those expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Any other questions? Y'all don't mind us. We've got a private conversation going. No other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll get that form filled out and get it to you.
Mr. Jackson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I bring to you SR 113. This is basically a housekeeping type bill resolution brought to me by the Georgia State Properties Association. While this bill has many pages, you will note that each page has a land description of each of the properties listed. Each year, the state properties folks ask for such a bill, and this would be no different. The utilities named in this bill have sought the right of ingress and egress to their various utilities, which require them to cross over properties described herein and owned by the state of Georgia. With passage of this bill through the legislature and signed by the governor, these utilities will have the right of egress for the purpose of maintaining their facilities and their utilities. There are no monies involved in the transaction. If there's any question, I'll be glad to try to answer them. If not, I would very...
Any questions? And Mr. Neal is carrying this for you.
Sir?
Mr. Neal is carrying this.
I'm asking Mr. Neal, Representative Neal, to carry it. I think he carried it for me in the committee.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Jones, you took my advice. You showed up.
Yes, sir.
Freshman, y'all be mean to him.
Yes, sir. I've been getting hazed over here on the wall, but I do appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. I've got Burt Jones from District 25, and I've got two bills here today. One is Senate Bill 234 and Senate Bill 236. On Senate Bill 234, I'm asking Representative Rogers to carry it for me in the House. It is a limited lines insurance bill, basically allowing travel agencies to sell limited lines travel insurance to their consumers as long as they're under a fully licensed producer and provide the proper information within their agency of who the first responder will be on a claim. So this has passed through the House. Passed through the Senate and passed through committee unanimously, and we'd like your favorable consideration on this.
Any questions? Next bill.
Next one is a department bill. 236, we're asking Representative Atwood to carry it for me. It's basically in reference to the Affordable Care Act. It's asking insurance companies to show exactly what the Affordable Care Act is going to do to their insurance premiums, the percentage in which it's going to increase their insurance premiums. We think this is a consumer-friendly bill, and like I said, it is passed through the Senate and all our committees, and would love to have a favorable consideration of the rules here.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
You tell Jeff I was nice to you. Mr. Ligon.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm William Ligon, and I have two bills. The one is actually Senate Resolution 267, which would be carried by Representative Spencer, This is an urging resolution asking the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to close what's called as the noise cut in the Satilla River system. This was opened up between 1900 and 1930, and it really interferes with the tidal flow and is creating increased salinity in some of the marsh systems, which affects the crabs and shrimp, and also cause some siltation to build up in the Satilla River. Then Senate Bill 1, which will be carried by Representative Atwood. This would apply in divorce situations. It would allow a custodial parent who does not own a health insurance policy to speak with the insurer on health insurance matters affecting the minor child. And frequently the custodial parent, if they don't own that policy, they have difficulty with that communication addressing coverage issues. And it would open up the door for that communication to occur. Mr. Chairman, I would appreciate your favorable consideration of the resolution and the bill.
Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator Ligon, I'm Lynn Smith, Representative Smith. I chair Natural Resources.
Yes, ma'am.
Your bill came through my subcommittee and my full committee and was favorably reported, and I believe you extended all courtesies at that point in time during the presentation of your bill. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There is an email blast going out to members of the Rules Committee referring to me in the third person in the bill, and I thought it important that you and I know each other in the first person. Thank you.
I didn't know anything about the email blast. So, yeah. So.
Come to my office. I'll show you 200.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Ligon, on the Senate Resolution 267, I asked you a question, and it's really just for information purposes. Do you know what the cost would be to go in and plug this?
It was nothing to the state. The Corps of Engineers would be required to do that. I mean, it could. I think I've seen some numbers of 5 to 10 million. I don't know the exact numbers, but.
Okay,
but along those lines, though, there could be spoils available from the dredging of the Brunswick Harbor, which could be used to fill that cut, and we're always looking for areas to dispose of those spoils. So.
I like good round numbers, 5 to 10.
Right, so.
Ms. Hughley.
We don't know. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is on SB 1, is just for clarification. Does the parent who owned the policy have to grant permission for the other parent, or is this
No, they don't. The parent would simply send the insurance company a copy of the divorce decree or the order granting custody, and then the insurance would act upon that. If this ever became an issue and it were being abused by the custodial parent, then the Superior Court could address that in a court order to modify the communication with the insurance company. But so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. John Wilkinson, District 50. I have two bills that I'd like to request. First bill is Senate Bill 97. This would create an agricultural commodity commission for beef. At the present time, there are 12 agriculture commodity commissions, and if the one for beef cattle is created, it would give the commission the authority to assess up to $1 per head checkoff to fund research, education, and promotion of beef cattle. This has been requested by the Georgia Cattlemen's Association, Georgia Farm Bureau, the dairy producers, and the livestock marketers. If you look on this favorably, it would be carried by Representative Sam Watson in the House. Are there any questions on Senate Bill 97?
I thought maybe I'd ask that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got a little carried away. My apologies.
Mr. O'Neill, do you have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Senator, the checkoff that you mentioned, the assessment of $1 per head of cattle, is that, when you say checkoff, does that mean it's voluntary, or is that a new fee being imposed? And if so, Who gets the money?
Okay, the way it would be implemented, the Georgia Department of Agriculture would have a sign-up period for about 6 months. So the beef cattle producers, the people who would be affected, would have the opportunity to be educated and sign up. At the end of that time period, there would be a vote. 2/3 of the producers would have to vote in favor of the commission for it to be put in place. And then every 3 years, they would vote as to whether they want to keep it in place or not. But if 2/3 of the producers voted for it, when they went to the livestock markets, there would be a $1 per head checkoff. The only exception would be livestock that sold for less than $100 a head.
And again, who gets, assuming that happens, the 2/3 vote to tax themselves, where does the money go?
Well, it's managed by the Georgia Department of Agriculture, just like the other agriculture commodity commissions and the board. There will be a board that's in the legislation of producers, marketers, and other people, and they will decide how the money's spent.
And is this a state organization or is it a private organization?
It's operated through the Georgia Department of Agriculture and the Commissioner of Agriculture, who's an ex officio member of all the commodity commissions. And again, they have those boards that's made up of producers that decide how the money's spent, and then the producers have the opportunity to vote on whether to keep it in place or not. Technically, I would think it's state, since it's operated through the Department of Agriculture.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Isn't it true that it actually would be a private organization that would actually fall underneath the Department of Agriculture, and as a commission is created for the promotion of the beef products here in the state of Georgia? It's currently the same as we have the Cotton Commission, Peanut Commission, Blueberry Commission, and all those as well. It would operate under the same way, wouldn't it? Isn't that true, Mr. Chairman?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Next bill.
Next bill is Senate Bill 209, which relates to downloaded documents. This is a consumer bill. At the present time, you have the opportunity to download documents on the internet, and of course, before the internet, you had the opportunity to use the hard copies of documents if you wanted to do your own will, you wanted to incorporate and those kind of things. There have been some questions about the legality of this since the internet, and all this would do is codify what is currently in place and say that it would be illegal to prohibit consumers from downloading documents to do a will or incorporate in those kind of things, as long as a disclaimer is printed which states that it is not a substitute for professional advice.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Meadows and members of the committee.
Mr. Gooch.
Good morning. Steve Gooch from Dahlonega, 51st District. I have 6 bills today. I'll go through them as fast as you would like. My list keeps growing, Mr. Chairman, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Senate Bill 70 is the one we've already discussed, dealing with eligibility for design build projects for the DOT, and incorporates best value principles.
Good bill. Next one.
Senate Bill 82 is changing the name of North Georgia College under their name change for the Board of Regents. Last year they changed to the University of North Georgia. This code section deals with the Georgia military scholarships, and we need to incorporate the name change to University of North Georgia in order for our students to continue to receive those scholarships through the Department of Defense and ROTC program. Mr. Tanner of the 9th District will carry that bill for us in the House. Senate Bill 155, Georgia Higher Education Assistance Corporation, it merely changes the membership from 13 congressional districts to now the 14th congressional district has been added. It also incorporates a nonprofit company to allow for gifts and other funds to be donated to that corporation to allow for those scholarships to be donated to students as well. On the back page, Representative Tanner of the 9th will be carrying that bill as well. Senate Bill 218 will be carried by Chairman Roberts This bill deals with commercial wrecker emergency tow permits, allowing for big tow trucks to pull heavy trucks off of the roadways and get them open up the highways to relieve congestion. Senate Bill 83 is a bill dealing with pauper funerals, and it allows counties to pick cremation as an alternative method other than just burial. And again, Representative Tanner of the 9th will carry that bill. And last is Senate Bill 226, another coroner's bill dealing with their investigation fees. It clarifies some ambiguities and inconsistencies in 2 different code sections in today's code section, and Representative Tanner of the 9th will also carry that bill for us.
Any questions on any of the bills? My question, go back to North Georgia College.
Yes, sir.
I thought at one time we just named, we didn't have to have legislation to change the name from college to university.
This bill doesn't change the name of the college. It changes the name of the designation in the code section dealing with the Georgia military scholarships that allows for students to draw down funds for that purpose. Right. And this just identifies it as the University of North Georgia.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate District 40.
Can you make it quick? You've got about 10 on here, too.
Senate District 40, Fran Miller, House trained. Page 1, Modified Open Rule, SB 128, carried by Chairman Maxwell. This redefines the definition of marriage and family therapist to include the word diagnose. Right now, they assess and they evaluate. We put the word diagnose in there for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's what all the insurance forms say. And number two, in order to get reimbursed. We've actually had some problems with some of our own state agencies because it didn't have the term diagnose in there. And we also changed the accreditation agency for the folks as well. That's Senate Bill 128.
Questions? Ms. Cooper.
Senator.
Yes.
There are marriage and family counselors.
That's correct.
It's my understanding that the state has not been paying them up to this point to diagnose or has not been using them. And a marriage and family counselor, what would they be diagnosing? And how would we use that in the state?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think a couple of things here. Number one, the current language is it assesses and evaluates. If someone's going to assess and evaluate me, I hope somewhere along the line there's a diagnose. It's more of a semantics term. We've got about 10 different groups that now use that term diagnose, whether it's computers, whether it's mathematics, whatever. All your insurance firm have a block on there that say diagnose. If we don't check that form off, we're having problems with one particular state agency just came out with a memo in February. You know, I've got a chart here of the counselors, the social workers, et cetera. We did this for the clinical social workers. We've got places where the only professionals we have are marriage and family therapists. And for them to try to go see somebody else and then come back and try to then go see this person because they can't check diagnose just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And that's why we've done it.
Any other questions? Ms. Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Senator Miller, can you speak to why we're changing the accrediting agency?
Yes, I'd be happy to. There was a feeling that the annual recertification, it was between them and the United States Department of Education, were becoming increasingly burdensome. So the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapists decided to go away from the USDE and just use this particular group instead. And it's been approved by the board. The composite board also is in favor of this change. I actually have a letter from them that says that regulates these people here in the state of Georgia.
Next bill.
Next bill, I've got 3 bills that deal with retirement. They're cleanup bills. The first one is SB 142. It's carried by Chairman Weldon. Deals with the fact of allowing us to do what's necessary to maintain our federal income tax status. And the second part of the bill basically says that employers, when they come back to work, are only allowed to work 1,040 hours. This is a vehicle, and this is underneath the judicial retirement system, that says if an employer fails to notify the board that someone's working more than this, then they're going to have to reimburse the board. This came from the department. Retirement system.
No questions. Next one.
Next one is Senate Bill 143, carried by Chairman Battles. Title 53 deals with wills and trusts and administration of estates, and 47 deals with retirements and pensions. All this bill does is say that the duties of these trustees of the retirement system are in addition to and not a limitation of their common law duties. It expands the definition of fiduciary, again, from the retirement system.
Okay. Next one.
And the last bill, Mr. Chairman, is Senate Bill 178. Again, we go through the income tax provisions at the beginning of it. And the real change in here is on line 76 to 81, a defined public employer. That hasn't changed, but we found the code referenced the state instead of public employer, so we changed this in lines 26 to 39. And the other thing is, again, the 1040 rule is in effect no matter what time, when people retire, whether it's a normal retirement age or earlier. And again, from the ERS system.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here on behalf of Lindsay Tippins, who's under the weather today. It's on Senate Bill 168 under the modified structured rule. This deals with public contracts at the local and state level. It allows for a contractor to build a job, pre-qualify or build a job that's 30% larger than they built before. What's been happening is some of these agencies and locals have required that in order to qualify, you have to have built a job that large before, which meant you couldn't grow your company. So this corrects that problem. I think the judiciary added some language maybe that deals with MARTA. Not familiar with that, the details of that language, but Mark Hamilton is carrying the bill.
Questions? Thank you. Mr. Hill. And this is Hunter Hill.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for your time today. I have two bills under the modified structure rule. First is Senate Bill 122, and it is about authorizing legal foreign nationals who are here legally to get a 120-day temporary extension when they file for an extension to their visa. And I've got Representative Douglas from the 78th, who was assigned that bill from Chairman Tom Rice.
Any questions? Next one. Wait a second, we got a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick clarification. These individuals who are making this application, they have filed a request for an extension with the United States. These are people here who are here legally, and they have filed a request for an extension with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, next bill.
Next bill is Senate Bill 179, which is a public contracts bill, and this basically authorizes our state agencies and local governments to offer incentives to contractors when schedule is deemed to have value. In addition, it also just cleans up a portion of the code for on-sealed bid contracts and bid bonds. And Representative Lindsay will be carrying that bill.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tallison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to be with you all today. I got a little bill that hadn't quite made it on the sheet yet, but Senate Bill 156, and while I was here, I thought I'd stay and just talk to you about it. It's dealing with the forestry world, and when you, on your own land, if you harvest timber, and during that process, say it rains and the equipment really tears up your dirt roads, to use your own dirt for more than an acre of your land, you have to get a mining permit. Now this is your own dirt on your own land. And what this bill does says anything land less than 5 acres. So you can use your own dirt on your own land for anything less than 5 acres and not have to get a mining permit. And the reason is sometimes the dirt's a little different in your property, and you may use a little bit in one area and have to use a little bit in another. So this just says that you don't have to go get a mining permit to use your own dirt on your own land for 5 acres or less. And that's simply all the bill does. It's not on your sheet, but I have filled out the paperwork.
It's on the yellow sheet.
Okay. That's it.
Wait a second. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill traveled through Natural Resources Committee and received the full support of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ms. O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm one of those House-trained senators, too. I'm here today to ask for Senate Bill 158, which is a very straightforward cleaning up of the language on the medical consent guardianship. It simply makes it clear, at the request of the hospitals who had been advised that they needed this clarity in order to proceed, that the physician order for life-sustaining treatment is executed, requires the signature of a patient or that patient's authorized person. And then the House Judiciary cleaned it up a bit more to define that person, referring to the code section that defines, gives about 6 different categories of people that are authorized to sign off on behalf of a patient.
Any questions? Mr. Sess.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just trying to understand what you're doing here. So are we moving from a 3-party contract where it's the patient themselves, a representative and a doctor, to a 2-party contract where it's a representative and a doctor?
Thank you for that question. It really does clarify the heart of the matter. Representative Lindsay passed this last year, and there was a drafting error. You'll see there, it says in the original language that we're cleaning up, it says that the form would be executed by a patient and his authorized representative. The whole point of authorizing someone to act in your stead is when you are unable to make your own decisions, unable to speak, unconscious, in a coma. And so that was a drafting error to put it a patient and the authorized representative.
And I was just looking to get clarity. Again, this historically, though, isn't it something that there's a set of conditions that are set out where the individual, before they fall ill, are sort of able to designate this, or is it?
That's exactly right. It's a designated representative of the individual, and that includes a person under a durable power of attorney, a spouse or a guardian, a son or daughter 18 years or older, a parent, a brother or sister 18 years or older. That's set out in the a different part of the code, and we tie it back to this language to make it very clear who that is.
And I just asked the question, Mr. Chairman, because this, again, and I'll follow up with the author here after the committee. This does take the patient themselves out of it, and it does allow them to, a representative to designate for them what those procedures are going to be without the individual themselves being part of that.
Yeah, this is used in the case where the individual is not able to speak on their own behalf, and that's the whole point. We have another resolution coming, urging Georgians to execute advance directives so that you're not in the spot where we'll have people down at Grady Hospital that there's no one to speak for them. They're comatose. There are real huge questions about their end-of-life care, and there's no one. It's very difficult situations when you don't have an authorized representative. Thank you for that question. And the Representative Andy Welch has agreed to carry this bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bud Rowe. Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and what a delight it is to be before this committee here today, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for this honor.
You mind clicking his thing so we don't have to hear this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I bring before you today two bills. First of all, Senate Bill 11. Senate Bill 11 reestablishes the Georgia Geospatial Advisory Council. This is a council that was created 4 years ago when I was still in the House, and it is a council that acts as an advisory committee to different local, regional, and state agencies as far as our mapping process goes in the state of Georgia. As many of you know, in your districts, a lot of the areas are being remapped and by FEMA and by GEMA, and this helps to coordinate these and bring them into coordination so that we're all using the same types of information. And on Senate Bill 11, Representative Knight will be carrying that.
Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator, for the presentation of your bill. We had questions in our committee about whether or not this was truly voluntary. Could you speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. It is in the bill that it is completely voluntary. It will be made up of different representatives from different agencies, both private and public here in the state. No reimbursement whatsoever from the state unless the different departments decide they wanted to reimburse travel expenses.
And you don't have to explain that geospatial to us again, since 4 years ago we didn't know what we were talking about then either.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the other one?
The other bill is on the back page, Senate Bill 134, dealing with controlled substances. For years, pharmacists in the state of Georgia have been filling out-of-state prescriptions from out-of-state providers. We just recently recognized the fact and realized that we don't have it in code that we can honor out-of-state prescriptions written by out-of-state physicians that are licensed in other states and territories, and we just need to simply clean that up.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ginn.
I'll say good afternoon because it may be late. Good to be with you, Mr. Chairman. The bill I wanted to talk with you today about was Senate Bill 87, Roadside Markets Incentive Program. Everybody's been up and down Highway 441 and visited our state, and we want to still have those roadside markets. We just want to make sure that we're not spending the taxpayers' money on a program that they haven't used any money in the last 30 years, so we don't think they are. And the department wanted to clean it up and ask for it to be removed. And I would ask for Representative Tom Kirby to carry the bill in the House if you would allow it, sir.
Any questions? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think, I'm not sure, but I was in a really good committee meeting yesterday with Chairman Powell. And I'm hoping that Senate Bill 101 will be coming up to your committee before too long. I'd ask for your favorable consideration on it in the future.
I bet you might get it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hill.
Good morning. Thank you all, committee and Mr. Chairman. I'd like to bring your attention on the first, on the front page, two bills. One, Senate Bill 170, relates to medical identity fraud and theft. It's no stranger to the legislature, and I've been thankful to be with Chairman Golick and his committee the other day, narrowing down that legislation. Basically, the largest, fastest growing type of identity theft in the country is medical records and medical identity for Medicaid fraud and stealing health records. And this measure would make that theft, the penalty for that theft identical to that for other financial crimes, like if you had your financial records stolen. And Representative Gravely would be carrying that bill if it should make it to the floor out of this committee. And then Senate Bill 187, two bills below that, is a bill that's also similar to Representative Dollar's legislation, and it came out of some parents across our community in Cobb County, in this case, who had high school students. It was brought to my attention that when we a number of years ago, we changed the law to require the Board of Regents to determine citizenship for our students that are eligible for Hope Scholarships, and they've been doing that for about 3 years. When we changed the law related to requiring more background information, citizenship information, like you're hearing across the board out of the Secretary of State's office and et cetera, the Student Finance Commission started requiring for the Hope Merit Scholarship based on scholastic aptitude annual tax returns. The FAFSA form, that's a federal form. Representative Dollar and I both teamed up together to clarify that that's exempt from those requirements. So if this bill were to pass, no longer, if you're a parent applying for or your child is eligible for the Hope Scholarship, no longer would you have to show your tax returns on an annual basis to be eligible for the Hope Scholarship. It's based on grade point average, and the Coverdell Scholarship as well is based on, I think it's a 1200 SAT. So it just simply does that. It makes it clear that they don't have to submit tax returns. And I'd be happy to
Any questions?
Answer any questions.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Hill, can you tell me where is Chairman Dollar's bill over there? Have y'all passed it yet?
I hope it's in our Rules Committee. I have no preference on which bill passes. I just think it's important. And Chairman Dollar and I traded calls last night. I haven't reached him this morning. I can, in the next couple of minutes here before y'all adjourn here, I'm more than happy to find out. I have no care whether which bill passes.
I'm just trying to figure out if his is moving or not.
I think Senate Bill 187 is further along in the process than it is over there. It's not because of, but I'm not certain of the status.
Ms. Cooper.
Thank you, Senator. You said that this bill would not require that families produce their financial records every year. If this is a merit-based scholarship, why are they having to produce their records ever?
Wonderful question. That was my question. The Student Finance Commission started this, I've been advised this year, because through one of the measures we passed a year or so back, we stated that you had to show your birth certificate and Social Security records and all for business licenses, et cetera, so that the Student Finance Commission extrapolated that to say, okay, we're going to require financial records. It was like, for what reason? I had parents from our high schools and in our community representative that we share saying, why in the world are we having to do this? So it came out of an outgrowth out of that, and this measure would stop it. Representative Dollar would be carrying this on the floor.
This would stop it from parents from ever having to give them?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else? That's good. No, Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd ask that we recommit Senate Bill 86 to Judiciary Non-Civil
for
some cleanup.
Which one?
SB 86. Ask for it to be recommitted to Judiciary Non-Civil.
You've heard Mr. Golick. All in favor, aye? Okay, it's recommitted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Learned this morning that Senator Jack Murphy's mother has just passed, and he was planning on asking for Senate Bill 140, and I would like to do that. It passed the Insurance Committee, and Chairman Maxwell is going to carry that bill.
Any questions? And you can direct those to Mr. Smith or Mr. Hamilton. No questions. Thank you. Mr. Willard.
Chairman, I'd like to ask for move for recommitting Senate Bill 185 to the Judicial Committee of the House under the modified structure rule. Senate Bill 185.
You've heard Mr. Willard. I heard a second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. It's recommitted. Yes, sir.
House Resolution 644. This is requesting a study committee by the timber industry of Georgia to look at growing and severe problem of what is timber theft in the state, asked us to pursue having a study committee set up for them, pursue a year to address that problem.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Green.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for Senate Resolution 113 by Senator Jackson and SB 97 by Chairman Wilkerson.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, would Chairman Willard repeat? I didn't hear anything but his last sentence on 644. Understand what it was.
I'm sorry. I think what I was stating was the timber industry has asked for a study committee to be set up for the purpose of reviewing the current statutes dealing with theft of timber in Georgia and what the responsibilities may be to owners, et cetera, of the properties, and then come back with any recommendations next year from this study committee for changes in that law.
Okay. Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name by Senate Bill 209, requested by Senator Wilkins. It's the download docs on the back of the page at the top.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to put my name beside 122. It's a Metro Chamber bill that should aid economic development.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name next to Senate Bill 76.
Which one? Which one?
76, Senate Bill 76, Returning Veterans Task Force.
Okay. All right, we're going to set it. Okay, modified open, HR 644. Do anybody opposed? We need to cut me down. It's on. Modified open, SB 11. Anybody opposed? It's on. Modified open, SB 14. Any opposition? Modified open, SB 76. Any opposed? It's on. Modified open, SB 82. Any opposition? It's on. Modified open, SB 87. Any opposition? It's on. Modified open, SB 97. Any opposition? It's on. Modified open, SB 140. Any opposition? Modified open, SB 170. Opposition? It's on. Modified open, SB 187. Any opposition? It's on. Modified open, SR 113. It's on. Modified open, SR 267. Any opposition? It's on. modified structure, SB 179.
There's an amendment too.
All right, let's do the amendment on this one before we get it moved. Whose amendment is it?
Well,
Okay. You've got it, and it's AM 281248. This is from Mr. Lindsay, and Rich is going. Mr. Golick is going to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to offer this amendment on behalf of Mr. Lindsay, who is carrying this on behalf of Senator Hill. It's AM 281248. Under the rule modified structure, this we would be approving this amendment for consideration on the floor. Ask for its favorable consideration.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the amendment signify by aye. Any opposition? Okay. That will be on the floor with 179. Okay, next under modified structure, SB 236. Any opposition? We have an objection. All those in favor of SB 236, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Y'all can raise both hands. It ain't gonna matter. Okay, it's on. Okay, Mr. Golick.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Rule 33.3, I'd ask that the House limit debate, the committee limit debate on SB 179, time not to exceed 1 hour, time to be apportioned equally by the Speaker.
You have a motion and a second to limit debate under Rule 33.3. All those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? All right, so we've got debate limited on it. That'll be the calendar.